Hello, friends. Stay with me because this story isn't about dry facts. It's about desperation and genius, about one crazy idea that could have turned the tide of the air war. It's about a phantom plane, a flying cannon, that you've most likely never heard of. Its fate is like litmus paper for that entire terrifying and great era. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive together into this forgotten saga. Your comment, "Let's go," below will let me know that you need stories like this. Here we go. Just imagine this. The year 1942. Summer. The land is ablaze from the Volga to the Caucasus. And in the sky, the almost unchallenged dominance of the Luftwaffe. Their Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs are fast, maneuverable with deadly armament. And their bombers, those Junkers and Heinkels, are like flying fortresses. Their armor thickens with each month. Our pilots in Yaks and Lags fight desperately, but often their machine gun bursts, like peas, bounce off the thick skin of German bombers. It takes several precise hits to vulnerable spots to shoot down such a beast. And in combat, there are only fractions of a second. In the headquarters of the Red Army Air Force, a grim understanding sets in. A breakthrough is needed. Not evolution, but revolution. A weapon of retribution. One shot, one down plane. Fantasy? No. The answer from the engineers of Alexander Sergeyevich Yakovlev's design bureau was bold to the point of madness. Take a good, maneuverable Yak-7 fighter and turn it into a flying artillery piece. Thus, the Phantom was born, the Yak-7-37. To understand the scale of the idea, we need to dive into the economic and historical context. 1942 is the year when Soviet industry, evacuated beyond the Urals, was just reaching full capacity. Aircraft production numbered in the thousands per month, but it was a struggle for quantity, often at the expense of quality and novelty. The Germans, however, held a qualitative advantage in aircraft manufacturing. Their engineers could afford fine-tuning. Ours were looking for an asymmetric, cheap, and effective answer. The idea of a Hunter interceptor or a breakthrough fighter with a heavy cannon was in the air. There were even fantastic projects for guns with calibers of 45 and even 57 millimeters. This is no joke. Imagine a fighter with a cannon capable of blowing a light tank to splinters with one shell. But those projects remained on paper. The Yak-7-30-7, however, became the most realistic, the most tangible attempt to embody this mad dream in metal. The designers went all in. In the cylinder banks of the powerful, but not the heaviest M105PA engine, they installed a monster, a 37mm motor cannon MPSH-37, the creation of Boris Gavrilovich Spitälny's bureau. This was a weapon of incredible power, created for destruction, not merely for hitting. 2 heavy-caliber UB machine guns complemented this lethal set. Let's calculate together. In 1 second of firing, this combo hurled over 4 kilograms of lethal metal towards the enemy. To give you an idea, that's more than 4 times the weight a main opponent, the Messerschmitt Bf 109F series, could spit out in the same second. This wasn't just a modernization, my friends. This was a change in the very philosophy of air combat. From the high-speed dogfight with screaming engines and hundreds of bullets, to a cold-blooded hunt, to one single calculated shot. A cool idea, right? But as always, everything comes with a price. And the price turned out to be fantastically high. You can't cheat physics. To squeeze in the heavy cannon and not upset the aircraft's balance. Imagine trying to hold a weight on your bicycle handlebars. The designers had to move the pilot's cockpit 40 centimeters back. The pilot gained an excellent forward view but felt as if he were in the tail of the machine. That was just the first compromise. The plane became heavier by almost 200 kilograms. It became inert, like a duck stuffed with lead. Its maximum speed dropped, it climbed worse, turned slower in a bank. But the main problem lurked inside. Imagine the recoil force. The impulse from firing this cannon reached 1 ton. 1 ton hitting the engine head-on. After each shot, the pressure in the aircraft's oil system dropped, the engine literally shuddered, and the gearbox transferring rotation to the propeller experienced monstrous loads. It was a one-way ticket for the mechanisms. And in the spring of 1942, during testing, the flaws of the MPSH cannon itself began to surface. The barrel developed ring cracks, Its service life was a laughable 100 to 120 rounds. And the ammunition load on the plane was only 20 shells. Essentially, the cannon was single-use. But the worst happened with synchronization. To prevent the machine gun bullets from hitting the propeller blades, their firing had to be perfectly synchronized. Here, the system failed. During test firing, bullets pierced the propeller, the plane immediately shook, and the test pilot miraculously landed the damaged machine, sustaining injuries. The failure rate of the weapon reached 22%. This is a catastrophic figure. The aircraft's state trials were never officially completed. It seemed like the end. But no. In August of that same terrible year, 1942, at the height of the fighting near Stalingrad, something incredible happens. A small batch, only 22 Yak-7-37 aircraft, without leading-edge slats which could have slightly improved handling, is sent to the Northern Front. To the 42nd Fighter Aviation Regiment. Was this an act of desperation or a brilliant tactical decision? Probably both. The front needed a wonder weapon, and it showed itself. Field trials revealed a paradoxical picture. On one hand, phenomenal, almost unreal destructive force. A single 37mm shell, hitting a Focke-Wulf's wing, tore out a hole of over 1 square meter. A hit to the fuselage often meant the plane simply broke apart in midair. An armor-piercing shell from 200 meters penetrated armor 50 millimeters thick. Pilots returning from missions with burning eyes recounted how a hit to a Focke's center section destroyed the plane as if it had been plowed by a plow. Over 12 group battles in these ungainly machines, 10 German aircraft were shot down, including 8 Messerschmitts and Focke-Wulfs. Imagine the moment. The pilot, having caught the enemy in his sights, presses the trigger. Not a rattle, but one deafening boom, and instead of the enemy plane in the sky, just a cloud of debris and smoke. It must have been catharsis, retribution for all the previous defeats. But, as in any good tragedy, there was another side. Their own losses were high. The heavy, clumsy Yak-7-37 was doomed in a turning fight with agile Messerschmitts. Couldn't fight in a turning battle. Its tactics were 1. Approach, fire, disengage. And what if you missed? Ammunition, 20 shells. 20 attempts for the entire combat life of the machine. After each shot, the plane yawed, throwing off the aim. Pilots reported. After firing, the aircraft would veer into a turn of 1.5 to 2 degrees. To make a second aimed shot, you had to instantly counteract this movement with the rudders, which in the heat of battle on the edge of instinct was incredibly difficult. The attack distance had to be lethally short, 150 to 200 meters. Practically point blank. At such a distance, the enemy could either slip past or abruptly climb away. The Yak-7-37 demanded from the pilot not just skill, but superhuman endurance, cold blood, and the ability to predict. It wasn't for everyone. So what was it? A failure or a breakthrough? In my view, both. The Yak-7-37 was undoubtedly an evolutionary dead end. Could never become a mass-produced fighter. But was it useless? Absolutely not. This dead end was, in its own way, genius. It became a living, breathing test bench, scorched by fire and pain. All its problems, recoil, structural load, cannon unreliability, were meticulously studied. The experience bought with the blood of test pilots and frontline flyers was not in vain. It led to the creation of the much more reliable and advanced NS-37 cannon, which was later installed on both the Yak-9T, the tank variant, and the IL-2 attack aircraft. Essentially, the Yak-7-37 died so that its offspring could live and smash the enemy by the thousands. Its legacy is not in assembly lines, but in proving a simple and terrible principle. In war, sometimes you must take extreme, unbalanced risks to solve a specific supertask. It remains in history as a weapons special forces operator, a narrow specialist with a short but incredibly bright biography. It reminds us that the path to victory is often paved not only by universal soldiers, but also by such strange, imperfect, yet bold, disposable geniuses. Friends, that's the story. A story about how, in the crucible of the most terrible war, not just machines were born, but symbols of a fierce will to win. If you found this as fascinating as I did while digging through archives and memoirs, do one simple thing. Hit the subscribe button under this video. Every subscription is a signal that deep, detailed stories like this are needed. And be sure to write in the comments, what do you think, was such a risky experiment justified in those terrible days? Could the Yak-7-37 have become mass-produced, or was its fate sealed from the start? Your opinion is priceless. Let's discuss. And remember, history isn't just dates and facts. It's first and foremost about people, their desperate decisions, and the machines into which they poured their souls. Thanks for staying with me until the end. Until we meet again in the skies of our history,